welcome back into the Sandlot Baseball League 2025 season. We are going to be doing just a bit of a recap here, as we are 1/3 of the way through the season, so I thought it'd be a good time to look at some standings, look at some stats, look at some MVPs and some LVPs, give you some surprising and shocking things, as well as some others. So we are going to get there in 1 second. Let's pull this and pull this and pull this as we do that. Apologies. Perfect. Okay. I can do this, pull that over here. All right. So first off, as we look at the standings, they're a little bit wonky. I got to figure out how to fix it so it's actually the right side, or right tiebreaker differentials and things. So technically the strikeouts are in first place, because if you look at the top half of the league, they're 3-2. So you got the strikeouts, Bash Bros, and Base Bandits all at 3-2. The strikeouts have the best run differential at +17. The Bash Bros and Base Bandits both have a -7, so it'd probably go to a tiebreaker there. Between those two, so I could try to figure out what that is pretty quick. Between the Bash Bros and Base Bandits, I'm pretty sure that's when the Base Bandits and Bash Bros. That was just his last game, which is the Base Bandits one. So technically the strikeouts should be at the top of this. Then the Base Bandits, then Bash Bros. Then the Broad Street Bats would be in fourth at 2-3 with a +17. Then the Shiny Squad with a -4. And the Clean Cleats with a -16. Once we get further into the season, we have more head-to-head. That'll be more of the tiebreaker before run differential. Head-to-head will be first. And then I think we'll just do head-to-head run differential. Or no, that wouldn't make sense. I guess run differential is just hard when we're used to punting a little bit more in these. So that's where your standings are at. The strikeouts started 0-2 and then won 3 in a row. Surprises so far. I'm a little surprised that the more balanced teams are worse. Like, I think the Shiny Squad, well, definitely the Clean Cleats and Broad Street Bats are the most balanced, I would say. And obviously the Broad Street Bats have a very large run differential. They'd be tied for first in the league. Them and the strikeouts are the only ones that have a positive run differential. Again, part of that's due to some big blowouts and stuff. But so that's our standings. Let's go into some leaders. As you can see here, our hits leaders, we're not going to go through every single one. We'll just kind of look at the top 3 or 4 or so. So you have the Bash Bros, Miguel Tejada with the most hits through 5 games. He's got 12 hits. Mike Trout for the strikeouts with 11, and Rajay Davis for the Shiny Squad with 10. Then you have a bunch of guys tied at 9 hits. The Clean Cleats only have 1 guy on there. So again, you can see these more the Shiny Squad and Clean Cleats. If they don't have a lot of representation in the offensive categories, that should kind of make sense. Bunch of guys at 2 for the doubles leaders, but you have Bryce Harper with 4, and then you have 3 guys tied at 3 in Santo, Crawford, and Trout. We only have 3 triples hit in the entire lead, and that's 2 from Carter, 1 from Santo. So Santo's gotten 4 extra base hits just in the doubles and triples category, and then he has 1 home run. So you have 4 guys at the top of the league in home runs. That's Ripken, Trout, Tejada, and Konerko all at 3, which is pretty crazy. I think another crazy thing is the Clean Cleats have 2 guys that have 2. The Bash Bros have 2 guys in the top 10. I think that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. The guys who are supposed to be hitting all the home runs have 4. which that'll come up later. RBI wise, you have Trout kind of leading the way, Santo at 8, and Utley. So two guys from the Broad Street Bats with leading the league in RBIs. And then Evan Carter, the leader of the Bash Bros, which is kind of interesting, especially because Evan Carter's not even on the top 10. I think he has one home run maybe. And then runs leaders, 8, 6, and a bunch of guys at 5, but Trout and Utley are up there, which is, again, kind of interesting. Stolen base leaders, bunch of guys at 2, but again, interesting that the base bandits do not have a guy in the top 3. Their highest, they have 2 guys at 2 and 1 guy at 1. There might be more at 1, and again, that statistic will come up again later, but Ozzie Smith 4 on 5 attempts, Henderson's 3 on 4 attempts, Bonds is 3 on 5 attempts. So that's kind of interesting. Here's a big one right there. Mike Schmidt. For whatever reason, that card has a 6 through 11 walk range, and he has 8 walks. He has a 17 home run, I think it's a 14 to 16 double range, and a 12 to 13 single. So the dude should be mashing extra base hits, and he's just walking. He just walks. It's insane. Santo could be having an MVP season, which I also think is kind of interesting that he has 5 walks when he's up there in the league leadings in extra base hits. Your strikeout leaders, so this is in a bad way, Toglia with 8. There you go. What are the strikeouts on here? The strikeouts, oh wait, they're at the league lead, and 2 of their guys lead the league in strikeouts at 8 and 6. Ripken's insane. But yeah, a lot of guys at 5. And again, a lot of these stats will even out as we continue on. Double play leaders, no one really cares about that. All right, average, so minimum 20 plate appearances. So that means a guy couldn't have like 5 plate appearances and be 5, like hit 1,000. It's got to be at least 20 plate appearances. So Tejada at 571 is above and beyond higher than the next closest person. So potential MVP so far, especially as you look at the on base percentage is a 625, and then his slugging is a 148, and then a 1.673 for OPS. So Tejada and Trout are kind of the front runners, I would say. Maybe Santo is kind of up there as well. Because see, Mike Schmidt isn't anywhere close on the average. He's not top 10, but his OBP is 520 because he has 8 stinking walks. But yeah, Trout Davis actually has a good average. Again, if you're leading the league in hits, it makes sense. Except I don't think Davis has walked, so that's why he's not any higher in the OBP. Anyone else kind of up there? Henderson's not too shabby. Evan Carter's not any higher. Jerry Coleman's not doing too bad. Trout's up there. Not a lot of walks for Trout. Slugging, Konerko, Trout, and Tejada. Again, that makes sense. And then OPS, top 4, kind of, again, distancing themselves. So that's all the batting leaders. Let's head on over to the pitching leaders. Again, a lot of this isn't going to be super helpful because you're all, like, if you got a quality appearance, no one's going to have more than 1 because no one's pitched more than once. No one's pitched 10 innings yet, so the whip doesn't come into play. Same thing with ERA is not going to come into play. Wins is kind of a dumb stat. A lot of the ending, like, these stats are kind of silly. We can look at strikeouts, mistake pitches, and other things, though. So, the 2 guys at the top, go figure. Cliff Lee, like an 800-point card, and our ace Mondo Reynono leading the league in innings pitched. The saves-wise, the Bash Bros, Clay Holmes has 2. And then you have 5 guys at 1. So that's kind of interesting. But again, we've seen either blowouts or a lot of situations where there wasn't saves. Someone would just get a win. Ranger Suarez leads the league in strikeouts. So the teams that should be leading in strikeouts are the guys with strikeouts in their names or the clean cleats. So you have 1 clean cleats guy up here. You have 2 strikeouts and 2 clean cleats in the top 10. That's good. But the base bandits Ranger Suarez, if I remember that game correctly, he had a there was I think 2 or 3 batter chart strikeouts, if I remember that correctly. You got two guys from the Bash Bros, Willis and Barrios, both going 7 innings and striking out 6. That's pretty good. And then mistake pitches. Holy smokes. Which that makes sense. Two guys from the clean cleats. Oh my word. Four guys from the clean cleats in the top 10 of mistake pitch leaders. That's something that you never want to see. Base bandits are up there. Again, some of these guys like Larry Cajun, Louis Varland, they have a 1 through 3. It makes sense. Nola should not have 4, though, and Casimir should not have that many. Yeah, this is interesting. Skeens with 4, Habrowski with 4. That's wild. So those are kind of the league leaders in some of the statistics. I want to go over then to our... this is something I just kind of made. Can I go... Yeah, this will work. Maybe not. Nope. Let's try like 175. Perfect. So I'm just going to kind of go through team by team, just kind of give some statistics about the team so far. And just kind of give some real quick things that are kind of surprising, things that maybe that are surprising. Something that like their team ERA, their batting average, their team on base percentage, their run differential, the MVP for their team so far, their least valuable player so far, their best batter, best pitcher, a shocking stat, positive, something positive that's happening for them. Like if like something that's in a good way, and then something negative like that. If this keeps happening, that might be an issue. So first up, we have the Broad Street Bats. They are 2 and 3. Their team style is basically balanced, so they should have a good amount of starting pitching, bullpen, power, speed. Like they should have a little bit of everything. So their team ERA is 2.38, which, if I remember correctly, is second in the league. So that's pretty good. Their batting average is 275, so that's not terrible. Actually, we can just show all of these. Just kind of get a better look. Actually, you probably can't see that then, can you? Oh, no, you can. Perfect. So yeah, so they are middle of the pack. They're third out of 6 in team batting average. I should have put all of that in here. Yeah, I can actually just do the run differential too, because we already know that. Team on base percentage, they are second in the league, so that's pretty. Actually, they're second in the league. They're .001 better than the Shiny Squad. So offensively, they are pretty good. You notice a huge split between the batting average and the on base. Well, that goes to their positive thing, which they have 25 walks. And I believe that leads the league, or it's at least up there in the league with walks. So the highest is 29, and then 20. And then 2 teams at 12, and then 1 at 8. So they have walked a ton, and that's going to hurt their batting average, but their on base is still really high because of all the walks. Now, again, they had one huge blowout victory. So they lost the first game of the season to the Clean Cleats, which the Clean Cleats came back. They beat the Base Bandits 7-1 in 9 innings. They lost to the Strikeouts and Extras 2-1. They annihilated the Bash Bros 18-3, and then they lost 5-3 to the Shiny Squad. So their losses have been really close. They lost 5-3, 2-1, and 4-3, but their wins have been 7-1 and 18-3. So I imagine in those 2 wins, they probably didn't walk that much. And if they, yeah. So, what was the 39 and 25? Oh, yeah, that's right. So far, I would say their team MVP is Ron Santo, which you saw him in a lot of the top 10 categories. He's batting 368, a 500 on base percentage, slugging 789, and a 1.289 OPS. Leads the team in total bases, um, tied for his team lead in home runs. So they only have 3 home runs, but he does have their lone triple, and he leads their team in triple doubles. He only has 2 singles. So he has 5 extra base hits to 2 singles. He does have 5 walks, but it's still pretty solid. So that's why he's the team MVP. Brian Banks. So I tried to like look at these like team MVP, the least valuable like pitcher or player. I mean, like I try to weight that to their points. So like if a 10-point guy who should really be stinking, like Nick Lofton, is only 30 points, like I'm not shocked. He's batting .059 and has a 200 on base percentage. Like he has 1 hit all year. So that's not shocking. Like he's 30 points. He sucks. Like that makes sense. I'm not going to make him like the least valuable player. So I try to look at people who are worth a lot of points that are just not producing. So Brian Banks got his first hit of the season in game 5, and it was a home run, one of the 3 of the team's home runs. And he has 4 walks, so it's not the worst, but he's batting .056. He has 4 total bases. So for someone who's an 11 R plus 1, like I think he only has 6 outs, so it's not like he has a lot. Like he should be getting a lot more hits than that. So that's why he's the least valuable player. Best batter Santo for all the reasons I said. Their best pitcher. This is again kind of a hard stat. Like a lot of their guys probably could have gotten like best pitcher or most valuable. Like Garrett Cole pitched extremely well. Like Cole went 7 innings and struck out 2 and didn't. He only allowed 1 run, I believe. Yeah, but he allowed 10 singles and 2 doubles. So like even though Tug McGraw only went 6 innings, he only allowed 1 hit all game and struck out 4. No runs. Like that's pretty insane. Okay, the shocking stat for this team, I did say they're very balanced, but something that's pretty shocking is um so they have 49 total hits, 39 of them are singles. That's not going to continue because they have guys like Rollins, Santo, Utley, Beltran, and Banks who all can hit for extra bases and hit for power. So they only have 7 extra base hits, which that's not terrible in 5 games. But if they have 49 hits, you would think, maybe they had 15 extra base hits and not 7. Or sorry, not 10. Maybe 15 to 20 of those 49. So I think a positive thing for their team is that they're not going to continue to walk that much. They do have some guys with bigger walk ranges, like Utley 7 to 10, Henderson's I think 5 to 10, Beltran 7 to 12, Banks is 7 to 10, Rollins is like 8 to 10. So like they have some ranges, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. Where I think their team can continue to struggle and where they did kind of struggle is Ruffin and Neagle, their SP 4 and 5, only go 5 innings naturally. So if those guys aren't hitting their quality appearances, which neither of them did, they're going to have to pitch tired, and that's going to be really taxing on their bullpen. Um, and McGraw technically is only a 5 inning pitcher as well. So we kind of knew that going in. So if their top guys are not going enough innings, that's going to be an issue for them. All right, I digress. Next, let's go to the Shiny Squad. They are also 2-3. Their team style is balance. Their ERA is third worst in the league, so they're at 4 out of 6. Their batting average is the best in the league, and they don't have the biggest split for on base, but it's there. They only have 12 walks, so that's why there's not as big of a split for them. It is interesting that both the Broad Street Bats and Shiny Squad are top two and top three for on base percentage in the league, and the Shiny Squad have the best batting average. So that could probably lead you to think, oh, their ERA must stink, which, shocker, it does. So just looking at the Shiny Squad and how they started out, um, they lost to the Bash Bros 4-2 in week 1. Then they beat the Clean Cleats and Extras 4-3. They then lost to the Base Bandits 7-5. That was a good back and forth game. I remember that one. Then week 4 they lost to the Strikeouts and Extra Innings. That was really unfortunate. And then they beat the Broad Street Bats, a big win for them in week 5. So their run differential is -4. Their team MVP, I would say so far, is Canerco, hitting .333. Leads the team in total bases, probably because he has 3 home runs, 3 out of their 5 home runs. Their team is more balanced. I would say their on base just isn't as strong as you get towards the bottom of their lineup and just isn't as good. This is another team that has 59 hits, so they're getting a lot of hits and not a lot of walks. They're just not hitting for extra bases. Their slugging is not very solid. They have 10 extra base hits, 5 doubles, and 5 home runs. And Canerco has 5 of those. So they just need other guys, which they don't have a lot of guys that can hit for power. Santiago can, but he has 0 extra base hits. I guess they don't really have a ton of guys that can actually hit for power. But like Bonilla doesn't have a single extra base hit, and that's a guy who should be hitting for extra bases. So Canerco's LVP team least valuable player is definitely Bonilla. He's not like the worst, but again, looking at how much you're paying for him salary wise, he should be hitting for extra bases, and he has 5 total bases because they're all singles, which means he hasn't hit for any extra bases, which is bad. No walks either. Their best pitcher was actually their SP5, Jose Suarez. He went 6 innings and only allowed 3 hits, and they were all singles. He did allow 1 run, but I believe that's because they stole bases. He did allow 2 walks too. But for an SP5, allowing 3 hits, that's insane. Their shocking stat is Bruce Sutter, who is one of their best extra inning relievers. So he goes 2 innings. He's pitched 3 innings and he has a 27 ERA. He has allowed 2 home runs and 5 singles, 7 hits and 9. He's allowed 9 runs in 3 innings of work. He's faced 20 batters. That's really bad. The positive thing is they have the best average in the league. They do shine against right-handed pitching. They're more built for that, I would say. Canerco's R+, Bloomquist is R+, Smith is R+, Wilson is R+, Martinez is R+, Bonilla is R+. So they're very R heavy. Now, Coleman is a good L+, and Davis is L+, but the middle to bottom of their order just kind of struggles against lefties, and I think they faced a lot of lefties. And again, they just didn't hit for extra bases, so I think if they're going to improve offensively, they're either going to need to utilize speed, which they do have some guys that can steal for sure. Smith, Wilson, Davis, they just haven't faced a lot of right-handed pitching, which is where Smith and Wilson will shine better. But if they keep facing left-handed pitching, they're just not going to do well. And they're slow. Other than those 3 guys, like Santiago's like an 18 or 19 base running, Canerco's 11, Coleman 17, Bloomquist is 21, so that's not bad. Ozzie Smith is 19, Martinez is like 19 or 17, Bonilla is like 18 or 17. So against these like better outfields, and if they're in, like it's a 50-50 shot, which maybe they'll just have to be more aggressive. I do know they got gunned down a lot, so just kind of is what it is. All right, next up we have the Bash Bros. Obviously, they are bent on extra base hits. That's like their mojo. Um, they have the second worst team ERA in the league. They have the second best batting average, and they have the best on base percentage, which makes sense because their offense is very good. Their run differential is poor, but again, that's because their ERA is bad. Makes sense. MVP and best batter easily Tejada. He's leading the league in most categories. Um, he has a total of 12 hits, which leads the league. 8 singles, 1 double, 3 home runs. 3 home runs does lead his team. Um, their shocking stat, which isn't home run related, but it should be. If you look at all the teams' home runs, Broad Street has 3, Shiny has 5, Bash Bros have 6, Strikeouts have 9, Base Bandits have 1, and Clean Cleats have 6. So, like, they're tied for second in home runs, which is fine. They both have 6 with the Clean Cleats, and the Shiny squad has 5. It's just kind of odd that they don't have more. Um, yeah, but Tejada's leading the league in so many things. Their least valuable player, they were kind of, it was kind of like hard to find one because they were like all the guys that should be producing, like are producing. You could argue Schmidt, but he also has walked a lot. So even though his average is 294, like that's still pretty good, but his on base percentage is 520. It's like that's insane. Schmidt just has 8 walks and 4 singles and 1 double. No home runs, no triples. So again, their team is just they have so many walks. But yeah, again, Tejada just leading the league in a lot of categories. Um, Evan Carter's doing really well for them. He's second on the team with a 409 batting average. Ken Griffey, I guess, would be like their one guy who like he's worth a lot of points. He has 1 extra base hit and 5 walks. He's hitting 278, so he's hitting worse than Schmidt. That's the only reason I put him as the least valuable player. And again, that's mostly just because has walked more. Best pitcher, Jose Barrios. And again, they were also very balanced. A lot of guys are very good pitching wise on their team. Their top 3 guys all got wins, and then Morris sucked, and then Spears, their bullpen blew that game. If you want a fun stat, Walter Beal has faced 6 batters and has a 136 ERA. He's pitched in .3 innings. It's kind of insane. Yeah, their bullpen has given up a lot. Cronin and Banda both have a 9 ERA, which heightens it. Also, really just Beal's 136 is what kills it because he allowed 5 runs against 6 batters, and he was basically a punt pitcher. But anyway, Barrios on 7 innings allowed 3 total hits and no runs, so that's why he's their best pitcher so far. Again, we'll do like a 2/3 of the way through. So a shocking stat was really just like how good their starting pitching was, which starting pitching should have been like a weakness for them. And while yes, they have the second worst ERA, a lot of that comes from their bullpen and Morris. So again, that's pretty crazy. So the positives for their team so far, their walks will come way down. And they do have a decent amount of walk ranges, but if you said that this team leads the league in hits, I think they do. It's them or the strikeouts. I guess I can do math. It's 49, 51, 57, and the strikeouts have 65. Okay. So, okay, but they're second in the league in hits, but with 29 walks, like, that'll even out. The worry So the positive and negative for their team is starting pitching. If their starting pitching continues to be this decent, they're going to be a solid team. If their starting pitching all of a sudden just starts to implode or just disappear, or the home runs just go away or don't really stick, they're going to struggle. Halfway halfway through, almost done. We'll go a little quicker. Strikeouts, the league leading strikeouts. They started their season 0-2. They lost to the Base Bandits in 11 innings. I believe they came back in that game to tie it to send it to extras, but lost in 11, 3-2 to the Base Bandits. Then they lost 6-1 against the Bash Bros. That was just like unfortunate towards the end, but that was close for a while. Then they rattled off some solid wins. They beat the Broad Street Bats 2-1 in 10 innings. They beat the Shiny Squad 6-3 in 10 innings, and then they beat the Broad Street. Oh nope, sorry. They beat the Clean Cleats in Game 5, 21-2. So that's where a lot of their offense came from. They do lead the league in team ERA, which should be good. They spent the most on starting pitching, I believe. Batting average is middle of the pack, so they're third, 307, 346. So they don't have the most walks. They have 12, so I think they're third. Big run differential, again, 21-2 will do that. MVP and best batter was Trout. Again, he's tops of the leagues in categories. He has 23 total bases, which is insane. The LVP is a tie between Mike Toglia and Yadier Molina. Toglia has one hit all season and 23 at bats. So that's really bad. He doesn't even have a walk. He does have a home run. So, like, that's kind of cool. He has a solo home run because he has one RBI. And he scored 2 runs. But, like, he's batting .087. And again, I think a lot of that's because they haven't faced a lot of left-handed pitching. It's been mostly right-handed pitching. And then Molina, I only have in there because he's only has 6 total bases. He does have 6 singles, which is fine. But I don't know. Just couldn't really find anybody else besides Toglia. And I don't want to dunk on Toglia continually. Their best pitcher, I just labeled as their bullpen. Because their bullpen as a whole, aside from Fernando Rodney kind of being pushed like in a tired way, they've combined for 2, 4, 6, 8.3 innings and have allowed a total of 2 runs, and those are both Rodney. So King, Zerb, and Ginkel have 6 innings and 0 runs allowed. So that's pretty solid. I think some of that might be runs attributed to like extra innings, like the ghost runners that may not count. Yeah, they just haven't even allowed a lot of hits. King, Zerb, and Ginkel have allowed a total of 2 hits in 6 innings. That's really good. So their bullpen's been a big strength. And their starting pitching hasn't been that good. It's been fine for what they paid for, but you would hope that they would do better. They only have 1 win. So basically their bullpen keeps blowing games, or they've gone to extras because, like, Scooble, their ace, no wins, no losses. Skeens got the loss. Yamamoto, 0. Kikuchi, 0. Reynoso got the win. And then King has a win. Rodney has a win. Rodney has a loss. So, again, it's early on. They have 1 save, and that was Dave Otto, which is kind of funny. Shocking stat was that they lead the league in home runs. I shouldn't be super shocked because they do have, like, some decent amount of pop in Trout, Toglia, Kalzer, Ripken, Harper, Molina. But they're not like the Bash Bros pop. So, yeah, but they lead the league in home runs and I believe in doubles. They have 12 doubles. So, that's pretty good. Ripken and Trout both have 3 again. A lot of that came in their last game. So that's the shocking stat. Something that is a positive is that their starting pitching will improve, and if their offense continues like this and their starting pitching is improved, they're going to stay at the top of the league. I do not think, as far as the negative goes, that they will stay top of the league in home runs. So their offense is going to have to produce in some other way. Let's go to the base bandits. So they are 3-2 somehow. They won week 1 against the strikeouts 3-2 in 11 innings. They then lost to the Broad Street Bats 7-1. They then beat the Shiny Squad 7-5. Then they lost to the Clean Cleats 5-0. And then they beat the Bash Bros in 11 innings 5-4. So they literally have gone win, loss, win, loss, win. Which is pretty crazy. Their team style is stolen base. Team ERA is pretty solid. It's top 3 in the league. They're third. They have the worst batting average in the league, and you're going to see this in their stats here. Worst batting average in the league, but they have one of the better on base percentages, but you can see there's a whole 100 points of percentage difference. That's because they have 20 walks. So this team is walking way too much. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because if you're playing a lot of small ball, your goal is to walk and single your way to victories. They don't have a team MVP because they just literally don't have anyone that's hitting well. I guess Ichiro could be their team MVP. He's hitting 400, so that's pretty cool, I guess. Or Crawford, he is 391. Their LVP is their leadoff hitters, which against righties would be Macklemore, and he has a 200 average, and Wiggins for against lefties, and he has a 158 average. Combined, they are 2-1 on stolen base attempts, so that's bad. Their best batters, Ben Crawford. Best pitcher was Cliff Lee, who went a complete game, only allowed 2 runs, 4 hits, so that was pretty solid. Struck out 6. Their shocking stat is they have 7 stolen bases and 8 caught stealings. So that's been a huge issue for them, is that they just aren't able to steal effectively. And if that's your strength, that's not good. Now, again, they faced a lot of tough batteries. And who knows, maybe the next 5 games they won't face as many, 13 or 14 batteries. And this team is, again, a lot better against right-handed pitching. Actually, they're pretty good mixed. But yeah, so their stolen bases will not be that bad. But again, they might degress. They might be bad the second or this next third of the season if the batteries continue to stay high and they can't produce and hit more singles. The last team to go here is the Clean Cleats. So the Clean Cleats are 2-3. Their team style was like low command, high outs, so try to have a low ERA. And they have the highest ERA in the league at 6. Again, part of that's because of blowouts this last game, but they beat the Broad Street Bats 4-3 in week 1. They lost in 10 to the Shiny Squad week 2, 4-3. Lost to the Bash Bros 3-1. Beat the Base Bandits 5-0, and then lost game 5 21-2. So again, a lot of that comes from the 21-2 blowout, which is why their ERA is so high. But yeah, their batting average is second lowest in the league, and then their on base is the lowest in the league. So their offense just hasn't been good, which kind of makes sense. They look like they have a worse offense than they shouldn't have a good as good of an offense. But they do not, they've only scored 15 runs, so that's the worst in the league behind the Base Bandits. MVP has been their 1-2 punch of Alex Gordon and Nomar, who have 15 bases and 13 bases, respectively. Both have a decent on-base percentage. Gordon's 364, Nomar's 409. They have 4 out of the team's 6 home runs, which is pretty good. So that's been their one MVP, I'd say. Their least valuable player has definitely been Joe Mauer. He has 4 hits total on the season, only 1 run. He's grounded in the 2 double plays, and he's hitting sub 200. He has 4 total bases. So it's been really bad for him. Again, best batter is that 1-2 punch. Their best pitcher, C.J. Wilson, I believe, went 8 innings, allowed 1 run, struck out 5, so that was pretty good. Shocking stat is they are tied for second in home runs at 6. So with how bad their offense has been, they've gotten a lot of home runs, which is interesting. So the positive thing I would say is that their balance will I think be better, and their ERA will not be that bad. They'll get better at pitching. The negative is if their offense continues to be this poor, then they might just continue to stay the bottom half of the league. So with all that being said, that's basically what I wanted to do. Again, I kind of wanted to just keep doing this for every third of the season, just to kind of look at some stats. So that way when we go into these next games, you can kind of see where people are hitting, and I think that's kind of a cool stat to add. The next games you will see are the Bash Bros taking on the Clean Cleats. We'll also get more head-to-head here. So the Bash Bros versus the Clean Cleats will be a rematch of Week 3, where the Bash Bros won 3-1. So those will be some stats we can throw in as well. All right, well, I hope you guys have a great rest of your time. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.